We are glad to welcome into the studio this morning Vernon Parker, who is running for Congress in Congressional District 9 against Kyrsten Sinema. And this has been an interesting one to watch from afar. The reason it's been interesting to watch from afar is because I used to watch Vernon from up close. Just out of full disclosure here, Junkman and I met working on a former campaign of Vernon Parker's, and so we consider Vernon a friend, and he asked the other day if he could come on the show. I said, you bet. So here you are, Vernon. Nice to see you again.
Hey, it's nice to be seen, my brother.
Yeah, they've been beating you up left and right. The Democratic Committee, Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee has been running some ads against you, which have been pretty nasty. Which included something you liked on Facebook, which meant that you completely backed everything behind this idea, which was kind of crazy. I keep seeing that one.
Well, I feel somewhat fortunate because unlike Jeff Flake, who hates animals, as we see all over the airways, poor critter could not stand up to Jeff Flake, could he?
Yeah,
that's Jim's dog, by the way, you guys.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, they are throwing everything but the kitchen sink right at us. But I will tell you what. That means that we are doing something right. We are doing something right.
Well, one of the, I know one of these things you have no problem with owning, and that's how you feel about the Department of Education. You probably have pretty similar beliefs that I do. I don't think we need to send this money through Washington. It's the bureaucrats can eat it up, and then they get to distribute it back to the states in a fashion that Washington ends up controlling education, which should be a local issue.
Absolutely. But what gets me is that when people say Vernon Parker is anti-education, and Jim, you know my story. You know that I am 2 generations removed from someone who could not read and write. And it is only because of education that I am sitting here right now. My grandmother, she couldn't read, she couldn't write, but she called me and she said, she called me by the name Bernard. She would say, look, if you don't get an education, you won't get out of this environment. And it is only because of education that I'm sitting here right now. But I firmly believe that we should not have a bureaucrat 3,000 miles away in Washington telling your wife, who is an incredible school teacher, that we have a one-size-fit-all operation. No. The kid in Nebraska may be taught differently than the kid in Arizona. Teachers and parents and local administrators should be the ones controlling the dollars, not someone sitting 3,000 miles away, a Washington, D.C. bureaucrat telling us how to educate our children. That does not work.
Yeah, a couple blocks away from the AEA and the Federation of Teachers, Teachers Federation, telling them what to do with those dollars, really, is the case in many ways.
Yeah, but I've just been clubbed across the head like a baby seal. But I'll tell you this, we cannot afford to send Kyrsten Sinema to Washington, D.C. because she'll get ensconced. And, that's
I like
your
that
word. That's
I
your
love that
word,
ensconced. Yeah,
so she's going to.
Yeah.
No, but look, education is so important, and it's important to the future of this great country that we must have education administered on the local basis, not from someone 3,000 miles away.
Oh, yeah. And that's the way most things should be handled. But people that go to Washington, they sometimes just end up in this belief system that their IQ went up 20 points and now they know what's best for everybody everywhere.
Well, yeah, we have programs like No Child Left Behind, and millions of children have been left behind. Why? Because paperwork. Teachers have to sit in the classroom, and they have to fill out this, fill out that. But look, and I'm criticized because of my position, but I'm the only candidate. Kyrsten Sinema, if you go to her website, she does not have an education plan. I have one, and it's at vernonparker.com. And it truly defines what I want to do in education.
The Department of Education is one of those areas where they're trying to get you, and you know what, you stand by that. What other parts of this campaign has the opposition or the Democratic committee come after you on, and you're like, you own that? Oh, and conversely, what do you think is absolutely unfair that they're saying about you?
Well, my position on abortion. Look, I've always been pro-life, but Kyrsten Sinema now has a brand new commercial saying that Vernon Parker would not allow abortions in cases of rape and incest. And that is so false. If you go to my website, vernonparker.com, and you will see I've always had the same position that, yes, I am pro-life, but I've always had the exceptions. rape, incest, life of the mother. And so this is a desperate plea on their part, because what they're trying to do is this, Jim. They're trying to get their base solidified. And when they can't beat you on the issues, they divide you by gender and race and economic warfare. And so that's what their final that's what their final commercial is right now, that Vernon is extreme, like the guy, what's his name, Aiken?
Oh, yeah, the guy out of Illinois.
Oh, yeah, and that was wrong. He shouldn't have said that. And
I'm sorry, Missouri, yeah. I'm sorry, I said right. Illinois, yeah.
But I've always been pro-life. I'll continue to be pro-life, but I'll always have those exceptions.
Well, and I got to mention this because you didn't. I just know this from working with you in the past, that you put your money where your mouth is, and you've helped unwed mothers and helped them make some tough decisions, and been there to counsel them and support those who would decide to adopt their child out.
Absolutely, because one of the things that I think that people who are pro-life should do is that they should be proactive. And if you are encouraging a woman to have a child, then you need to help. And I was on the board of the Christian Family Care Agency, and that agency, the main purpose is to find women who want to have their children and help put them in a kind, nurturing family. And so I've done that for many, many years because, and it's the same way. As conservatives, we can't put it on the government. We have to say that we, as a community, will work. For example, the Salvation Army, I served on the national board there too. And one of the things that we did was that we would help people in need and not rely on the government to do so. But the Christian Family Care Agency, yes, absolutely. We would place children in kind, loving homes, and that's what it's all about. Not the government doing that, but community-based groups doing it.
So you're not for central control? What's this all about, Vernon? Come on, come on.
Well, now I will tell you. Now, Miss Sinema did receive the Vladimir Lenin Socialist Award for the most socialist legislator in the state of Arizona, and the news clipping said that she proudly received the Vladimir Lenin Socialist Award. So.
Well, we'll go with that if that was a news report. The news always tells the truth. But yeah, more with Vernon Parker, who's running for Congress in Congressional District 9 here in Arizona. Straight ahead here, it's Sharp in the Morning, 644. Minutes away from 7 o'clock, Sharp in the Morning, back at News Talk 550 KFYI, and Nearly Famous Barry Young show coming up in just a few minutes. We're with Vernon Parker, who is running for Congress in Congressional District number 9 against Kyrsten Sinema. And how's the polling been for you, Vernon? What you can share with us has been pretty good?
It's going in the right direction. We feel very good right now. Very, very good. Okay. We're very excited. She won't become ensconced in Washington, D.C.
You love that word almost as much as I do. That's good. Keep using that word ensconced. People think you know more than you actually know when you say things like that.
It's multi-syllable, right?
Yeah, it is. It is not monosyllabic, which helps me look more intelligent, and I need all the help there I can get. Let's talk about the most important thing on people's minds, the three most important things on people's minds, which is jobs.
Jobs,
exactly. What does Vernon Parker want to do about jobs when he gets to Congress?
The first thing, we cannot be competitive globally with the highest corporate income tax in the world.
Yeah, we have it.
If we reduce it to 22%, we will bring 2 million jobs here to America immediately. And the other thing, look, people don't realize this, but the regulatory system, that creates uncertainty. How many regulations do you think we passed in 2011?
I don't even want to guess.
3,700. That means that we passed a regulation every 2 hours and 20 minutes, 365 days a year. And that costs business, small business, and large business, but it creates uncertainty. Investors do not want to invest in uncertainty. So, look, we have the highest corporate income tax in the world. We have the most uncertain regulatory system. And you combine those two, and that equals that we export more jobs than we import. And so we must become more competitive, get people back to work, but we must do it the smart way.
What's your definition of wealthy in this country? Because I keep hearing a lot of liberals say it's this amount, and other people say it's that amount. I don't know.
Well, Kirsten Sinema's definition is that you are a millionaire if you make $200,000 a year, and that she wants to tax you if you make $200,000 a year. But what she doesn't understand is this. Those are small businesses. Those are S corps, LLCs. Those are pass-throughs. And look, if you tax people at that rate, they won't have jobs. They will not create jobs. And then you throw in Obamacare when we say that the first time in American history that we are seeing if you hire more than 50 people and they work more than 20 hours a week, 29 hours a week, we're going to tax you some more. And look, people are not hiring full-time now because of the uncertainty. Mm-hmm. They don't want to do it. I had one guy who owns a McDonald's. He told me, he said, look, Vernon, I won't hire any more full-time. But what I will do is that there is a Burger King right across the street, and I'm going to talk to them. And I'm going to say, look, you hire them for 20 hours, and I'll hire them for 20 hours. That's ridiculous.
Wow. So two part-time jobs.
Two part-time jobs as opposed to one full-time job, getting people to work. So when my competitor wants to tax you if you make over $200,000 a year and then tax you again if you are a small business and you employ more than 50 people and they work more than 29 hours a week, that's insanity. We must get people back to work. The middle class must get back to work, and we have to do it the smart way.
Yeah, and that goes beyond just the employees that you can hire. Because it has two other effects, in my opinion. It reduces the amount of money you can spend on capital goods, for your company, so you can expand your business.
Right.
And everybody just thinks that there's like a little money tree in the backyard of every small business, so you just go out and pluck more money off of it. Instead, you have to pass that cost along to the consumer very often.
Without a doubt. That's why when you look at my jobs plan on VernonParker.com, you'll see that what I call for is that if you are a business, that you should be able to write off 100% of the equipment that you purchase. Mm-hmm. And also the income tax, the R&D tax credit, it should be increased to 25% more. And that should be made permanent, and that alone will create another 500,000 jobs here in America. So, there are so many things that we can do. But we are so intent on taxing those who are successful, taxing those who hire people. And America has always been about rewarding. If you hire more people, that's what we want to see. But but the current mentality is that $200,000, you are a millionaire. That's just wrong. And when I get to Congress, I'll make sure that we can make sure that small businesses will continue to thrive and continue to hire people and not be divisive on class warfare.
Yeah, to me, it's among the worst of all things is this class warfare, because it's all based in jealousy and envy, which is just awful. Because we know we can't tax our way out of this deficit and this debt we have. There's just no way to tax ourselves out of it. We can't. If you took all the money of all the billionaires in the world, and we're not just talking their cash on hand, we're talking all their assets, you're going to pay off a third of the national debt. That's all the billionaires around the world.
Yeah, that's 100% right. Maybe if we sell Donald Trump's hair, we can get a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody wants to buy that thing, man.
You don't think so?
Yeah, it might be useful in construction.
How about Don King's hair? We can sell it.
I've actually seen that in person, man.
I have too.
You'd have a hard time refusing him if you wanted to sell it to you. I'll say that. But so let me ask you, if the Democrats have done one favor for you in all of this, and that is for people who were a little concerned that maybe Vernon Parker wasn't the conservative they thought he was, have they managed to frame you that way, in your opinion?
Well, look, when I was in the primary, my primary competitors were like Vernon Parker is a liberal, and now I'm a Tea Party guy. But the best thing that they could have done was to give me a proto-socialist by the name of Kirsten Sinema, because we are so different.
Yeah, boy, that is very true. And I say that, pointing out that I actually like Kirsten Sinema personally, but man, I can't.
She can't become ensconced.
That's right. We have to avoid the ensconcing Ensconcination of... forget it.
Well, no, you've said ensconce 3 times, but I haven't heard your website 3 times.
VernonParker.com.
I heard it 3 times.
Okay.
There's a 4th time at least. So,
Good.
All right, Vernon, always good to see you. Thanks for coming by. And folks are already voting out there, so glad you had a chance
Get those ballots in, folks.
Had a chance to swing by, because you never know. Hurricane Sandy may make it all the way here. You get those ballots in. We'll see you tomorrow after the news at 5 a.m. The nearly famous Barry Young Show coming up next.